Well, hello. It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. And allergies are hitting me hard today, as you can probably tell from my voice. But let's dive into the pens. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I'd invite you to subscribe. And hey, what have you been doing with your summer? Well, it's not summer yet, it's spring, but it's coming. Summer is coming. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, what are you doing with your winter/fall? Let us know down in the comments. Let's dive into the pens. Alright, so these are the pens that I've been using this week. And I apologize if there's a change in audio there. I didn't realize, but I had the gain way down when I recorded the talking part of this. But now it might be way up because you're gonna... High school rodeo is going on right now, and I can hear it. Even though I'm pretty far from the rodeo grounds. It's a small town, so I guess nothing is that far away. But anyway, let's take a look at the pens. So from left to right, I have a Benu Talisman. I have a Pilot Custom... Sorry, let me try that again. Pilot Custom 823, Pilot Custom 823, Parker Duofold, Miyuki Magic, Centropen 1320, a Kaweco Sport, the original, so Kaweco V14, V16, and a Stanford, let's try that again, a Loft Pens Winchester, appropriately colored for June, I guess. I'm also recording this several days after I recorded the the talking, and my allergies are still going strong, so something's in the air right now. So if you hear it, that's why. As always, I'll be doing my writing sample in this Cognitive Surplus Theory notebook. And I'm just going to mention, I've been doing a bit of decluttering, you'll hear about it at the end, but I pulled out a couple of my old Hypothesis notebooks, and you may remember a while back I quit using Hypothesis and switched to the Theory because of the fountain pen thing. The older Hypothesis was very good. They have changed the paper. So, a little disappointing, but anyway, let's get into this. If the lighting looks a little different because I've simplified. I got rid of an entire lamp. Alright, so the first pen is the Benu Talisman with a foxglove finish. I remember when I did my first impression, I expressed surprise that this was called foxglove because I grew up with purple foxgloves, but apparently they do come in several colors. I was corrected on that. So anyway, the Benu Talisman. Now something else that's come up this week since putting this ink in this pen. Why have I not been using this ink? I mean, looking back at my pens and use notebooks, and admittedly I don't have them all anymore because prior declutterings I've gotten rid of them. I don't know, it's a very nice yellow. It's a readable yellow. So I don't know why I haven't been using this. So this is Krishna Kanikonna. Hopefully I spelled that right. A nice shading yellow, kind of a mild yellow. It's not orangey like some of the yellows. It's, not a bright yellow like in a daffodil or something, or buttercup, but it's just a perfectly readable yellow. So maybe I'll figure out after I use this for another week or two, till I run it out, why I quit using it. Not that you get a choice. Alright, so this is the Pilot Custom 823. I have two. This one is in the gray finish. They call it smoke. Let's see if you can see the smoke. It might be blurry, but I wanted you to see the color. So it's not it's transparent but not clear. I Haven't had any big pen buying, Custom. Haven't had any big pen buying plans. You'll hear part of why at the end here. But, I've thought it might be kind of fun to have there's a clear one of these, a transparent, and they have a signature nib that looks kind of fun, but I'm finding myself asking, is that going to be something new in my collection, or just something like what I already have? And I'm kind of leaning toward it might be something I already have. So this is Omas Gray, a discontinued ink. I actually, on Sunday, I'm going to be doing a video about hobby burnout and I'll mention how hobbies go through phases. I think I'm in a non-acquisitional phase of the fountain pen hobby right now, which might be why you've been seeing so many survivor pens. I do have a few new pen videos filmed, not very many. One of them I was going to release next week, but Fig Boot apparently beat me to it. I haven't watched his video, but yes, I may have to do a different video so I don't look like a copycat. Filmed it a few months ago. I'm just now getting around to it. And I better hurry up and decide that because I got things going on this week. So this is my other Pilot Custom 823. This is in the brown finish. I think they call it brown. Maybe bronze. I don't know. I don't care, really. Just basically the same pen, just a different nib. Oh, did I mention that when I use up this Omas Gray here, I'm done with that ink? I will have used up all of my gray inks once that happens. So, a small victory in my battle to overcome, the ink acquisitional phase of this hobby. We'll talk a little bit about craft clutter also when I on my video. Or did I talk about craft video in my talking part of this? One or the other. Either my video that's coming on Sunday or my video that I did tonight. Can't talk. These allergies, it's just like I'm wading through something to think or speak. Anyway, crafts bring clutter. Woodworking, fountain penning, knitting, whatever it is, you're going to have a certain amount of clutter if you do crafts. I mean, it might be hidden away clutter, but it's still clutter. Let's leave a big white space here so we keep the name of the pen lined up with the swatch. This is my Parker Duofold. I just did a Survivor Pens video on this recently. This is another ink I have completely used up. When I empty this pen, that will be the last of this ink in my collection. I have a new red ink ready to get put in a pen, but let's take a moment to appreciate how attractive this ink is. Whatever his faults are, Nathan Tardif of Noodler's fame does make some very attractive colors. I get annoyed with some of them because they take forever to dry, and there's the whole question over labels and such. But he makes some very attractive colors. This is one I might consider buying again. I might also look for it, from a different company that's in a similar shade, because I like it, but it's not, a favorite ink of mine. Nice shading on it, which I think is the point of how he designed the ink. Okay, this next pen is my Miyuki Magic, and it's in a Christmas baubles finish. It's from Stanford Wood Pens. So if you remember, I have this goal of collecting a pen from every continent. This is my African pen, made in Africa. I have some Australian pens. The only continent I'm missing is Antarctica. So if anybody knows of any pen makers in Antarctica, let me know. But I feel like that's one of those goals that I will never meet, so I guess that can be my grail. I feel like it's just possible that there's nobody making fountain pens in Antarctica. Because that's kind of a, when we talk about craft clutter, that would be a craft that would require some clutter. And how do you get that to Antarctica? So this is a discontinued orange. I like it. I didn't at first, but as I've used it, especially in pens like this that have a very broad nib, I can see what nice shading it has. So I'll be sad to use it up, but I'll be also one bottle closer to my goal of having less ink. And let's be clear, if you have ink and you're not using it, are you enjoying it? Well, no. I'm just focusing on a few inks at a time, and that's getting me results like this one and this one. All right, this is I haven't had too many vintage pens out lately. And I got to do my June flag thing one of these weeks before June ends. So we'll see when I get to that. But this is a Centropen 1320. So this is made in the country of Czechoslovakia when that was still a thing. Now they still exist. They don't make pens like this anymore, but they exist in the Czech Republic. So I wanted to show you the cool nib. Just a little different style. I don't know that we saw that style on American pens or non-iron curtain European pens, but it's kind of cool. So Centropen 1320. If you want to get into buying vintage pens and want a little bit lower prices, Centropen is a good way to go. Because they were generally pretty good pens. Whoops. They're not exactly high on the collector's lists, so you can still find them at a decent price. I've kind of gotten to the point, though, that I'm like, well, I've got enough Centropens. I got enough Toes Pencala pens. So I got to start... I was going to sneeze there. I got to start looking at other manufacturers when I get back into that acquisition phase. My next pen is this Kaweco V16. Everybody's talking about the new Kaweco Sport that's come out. Well, I don't own one. I think it'd be cool to try one, but I haven't. We'll see how I feel about it this fall. Oops, 16. 14 is a very nice pen, by the way. This has an extra fine nib. And the new Kawecos, you won't see a nib like this. I can't remember. They're not made in-house. I don't remember if it's Bach or Jovo makes them. But anyway, I saw an interesting video this week where the gentleman was looking at... Who was it? I'll put a link to it down below because I can't remember the name of the channel off the top of my head. But he was talking about the different types of ink bottles. Did a whole video on it. Did not mention this one. And did not mention my favorite, which is the Pilot 70 milliliter bottles. But still analyzed some of the good points and bad points of different ink bottles. Even had a vintage Schaefer script bottle. And it has this little glass shelf, kind of like, that serves the same function as those plastic inserts in some modern ink bottles, like my Pilot 70 milliliter, to get ink when the ink level gets low. So I might have to look for one of those. clean the ink out of it, if there's any, because it would be very suspicious, but I don't need anything growing in my pens. Alright, and this last pen is just gorgeous. I mean, if you're a physics person, you just love the science behind a rainbow. And so many companies have tried the rainbow because rainbows are beautiful. And to my eye, at least, they don't get it right. Now, this one, scientifically, let's not talk about that. But as far as evoking the feeling you get when you look out at a beautiful rainbow after a thunderstorm, just the feeling of a rainbow, yeah, this one gets it right. So, yeah, I got all poetic there instead of all scientific. I think it has a double broad nib, I don't remember. Okay, so Loft pens. Oh yeah, this is another ink I really like. Also from Noodlers. So Loft pens Winchester. I'm pretty sure it's a double broad nib. I know it's a Bach nib. And the ink in it is Noodlers. Black Swan. In Australian Rose. Ziz. I got corrected on that. After many years of just doing the singular. So just a very nice purple. Kind of understated. And I like the shading in it a lot. This bottle is... I probably have about a quarter of it left. So it'll be a while before I use it up. The day will come. But anyway, those are the pens and inks I've been using this week. So those are the fountain pens, inks I've been using throughout the week. So let's talk about... Okay, I'll just be honest. My camera keeps quitting. I'm not sure why. I think it's because my the thing controlling it is on the charger. But it's really annoying. We'll get over it. All right. So anyway, I haven't actually been using the pens that heavily this week because I've been doing other stuff. So what have I been doing? Well, gardening. Usually I'm done with that by now and I'm just weeding and stuff, but I'm not this year. I'm late. But I have a really good reason why. So I decided I don't want to dig it up by hand anymore. So I bought a cultivator. Now it's not an amazing cultivator. The one thing I do like about it is it's battery powered. So it's fairly quiet. And it gets down deep enough, just maybe not as deep as I would like. But and it's not wide like a rototiller would be. But I think I'll be able to use it through the year then to patrol weeds around the edges of the beds and things. But anyway, yeah, so I've been doing a lot of gardening, putting in stuff. I think I'll have everything in by the end of, well, as I film this today. When that actually is hopefully already done by the time you see this. I'm not gardening right now, even though the outdoors is perfect for it right now because we had a thunderstorm, so I want everything to dry up a little bit. But anyway, so I've been gardening, finishing up stuff at school, yearbook, and I'm in the process of a big decluttering project in my classroom. And so because this keeps wanting to shut off for some reason today, and then you shut off, I will just keep looking down and tapping my phone screen today. But anyway, in the middle of a big decluttering project at school, reorganization and so on. But I'm also doing it at home. I am amazed by how many garbage bags of stuff I've taken out to either donate or throw away. Nothing really worth selling, but some things to donate or give away, and a lot to throw away. That was just my bedroom and a little bit my living room. So I made several passes through the bedroom. Living room, I've mostly done the file cabinet and some stationery stuff. And more to come. Right now, the living room is kind of where the project is at the moment. So the living room looks like hell. Except for this bit behind me because you can't see the floor. But anyway, I was thinking a lot about decluttering. First of all, I don't live in a very big house. Second of all, I was just shocked by how much stuff I got rid of. And again, that's the bedroom and a tiny bit of the living room. And I haven't even started looking at books yet. So I had read a few or followed a few different philosophies on decluttering. One of them was the Marie Kondo. She has a lot of good ideas. A lot of her I also think is unrealistic, maybe for me anyway, but for a lot of people. Only keeping the things that spark joy. Well, they don't really spark joy, but I use them all the time. Oops. And with books, I have a very hard time with her philosophy on books. But anyway, what she does have some really good ideas on storage, like not storing things on flat surfaces. If you have a counter, don't store stuff on it. If you have the top of a bookshelf, don't store stuff on it. Have a place for everything. Containers for things. Containers help keep things corralled. Those were all good ideas. A particular one that was very helpful for me in this decluttering project was the whole idea of storing your clothes perpendicularly. So I don't do the Marie Kondo of folding my t-shirts. I like to roll them, so I fold them into thirds and then roll them real tight. But then I stick them... I have these fabric drawers, so I stick them so they're all like this in the drawer. If I have my pants, they're all folded so then they sit side by side like this rather than like this. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. Socks, same thing. They're all side by side. The only thing I don't really do that with is the white t-shirts and underpants, but, they all look the same. So that's what I've been doing. And because one of the things I realized as I was going through all this, I didn't know I had that. If you don't see it, you don't use it, and you forget you have it. So I just realized from reading Marie Kondo that, I got to be able to see it. That's part of what I did with my fountain pens, and part of why I'm trying to declutter my inks and use inks up. I want to be able to see what I have, so I use it. But there was another one I was hearing about that was interesting. It was called Swedish death cleaning. And if I die at my age, then all my heirs, good luck. You've got a really small house to try to sell in rural North Dakota, and good luck with all my stuff. But Swedish death cleaning is more about thinking about end of life and not leaving the things you should have taken care of to those who follow you. And among those things are your stuff. Now, that doesn't mean, at age 65, which is when they recommend starting this, that you just become a minimalist. What it means is start saying seriously, am I going to use this anymore? Here's all this rock climbing gear. I had a great time rock climbing, but at 65, am I going to rock climb anymore? Probably not. But maybe my grandson, Joe Bob, likes mountain climbing, so maybe he would like this stuff. That's an example. I don't mountain climb, by the way, unless I can walk or use my car. I don't climb. Because somebody here doesn't like heights. But anyway, but I just like the idea of not leaving those who survive you the responsibility while they're in mourning. Hopefully, they're in mourning for me if I die, of cleaning up your crap. Enjoy your stuff, but recognize what you're not using, and downsize. And wouldn't it be nice to be able to give people stuff that you think will have meaning to them? Now, I also know that can be a form of emotional blackmail because I can't get rid of this because Grandma Walrus gave it to me. But, I guess I'd rather that than who wants all this crap? Oh, I'll take it all. No, I want that silverware. No, I want it. And then you get nasty fights and stuff. So that's why I thought it was a great idea. And then, of course, there's the classic. Don Aslett wrote Clutter's Last Stand. He wrote a whole bunch of books on cluttering that I was really into at one time. And some of them didn't age super well, but I liked he had some great ideas on longevity of stuff and how we sometimes get emotionally attached to things. Here's the climbing spikes I used on Mount Pinatubo or whatever. And yeah, but you're not going to do that again. So anyway, those were kind of the philosophies informing it. I'm not looking at Swedish death cleaning. Let's call it Swedish. Well, I'm not retiring either. Swedish retirement cleaning or Swedish moving cleaning or something. Anyway, I was approaching it from the idea of, what if I had to move? What would I keep? And boy, it's clarifying. If you've ever moved, you know that it's very clarifying. And you still, when you're unpacking, you're like, seriously, I kept that? I moved that? Why? So, I like the idea of moving once in a while, but since I just paid off my house and it still gives me a little thrill, I will just pretend like I'm going to move. And that's how I'm approaching my house. I don't like sometimes those hoarding TV shows are a guilty pleasure. I discovered some British ones that are fun. They're a little less exploitive than the American ones. But, because sometimes the hoarding is a mental illness, and sometimes they play things up for theater, and they're definitely heavily edited. But it's kind of nice, especially the British ones are often kind of light and fun. To put those on YouTube while I clean, it's just kind of inspirational. And, okay, my living room doesn't look great right now, but it still looks better than most of those shows, and it's a work in progress, so. And you've heard me talk about decluttering before, so this is one of those things that never ends. But I'll tell you what, if daily you're putting your stuff away, if you deal with clutter, then it's really easy to clean. And when you live in a house as small as mine, this has been rewarding every time I've done it because I can clean this house very fast. But anyway, a big lesson, like I said, I wrote down a few of these. I got to hold it back here because I don't have my reading glasses. But you need to be able to see your stuff. Fold and store your clothes so they're visible. Stationery, I stored it now so it's all perpendicular to the ground like this. So all my notebooks are, there. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but here's a book. They're like this. I mean, that's why bookshelves put your books like this. You see, I've got this intelligence and how to get it. So that, I think, will help me use up notebooks. Because it's kind of amazing how many notebooks I own, and I'm just like, why? Why did I buy all these? I'll come back. I actually have some thoughts on that, so I'll come back to that. And files. My God, that file cabinet was a mess. It's a 2-drawer file cabinet. It's made out of oak. I bought it at a store called Pomida that I don't think the chain even exists anymore. And, for $20 back when I was first living on my own. And I've always used it as an end table because it's decent looking. And Probably gives you an idea how classy my house is. But I like it. But after I started going through my files, I'm like, oh, here is all the paperwork for the house I owned in Turtle Lake. Which, when did I leave Turtle Lake? Would have been 2004, 2005, somewhere like that. Paperwork for my old car. Now, I've only owned 2 cars. So my old one I got rid of while I was living in Turtle Lake, ironically. So it was like 2005. Well, that's probably 2004 because I drove it for a while in Turtle Lake. But anyway, got rid of that. Why do I have the repair paperwork? Don't know. So got rid of that. Got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. I've got records of my different retirement investments from way back. Not organized. I found them in all kinds of different folders. Threw those away. And I got it all down to where I just have a little bit. It would actually fit in one of those plastic containers that's about this wide that you can put hanging folders in, because I like the hanging folders. And that's all I really need. Admittedly, I've got a bit more. I'm going to put more in there. So I have to store something else in this thing because it's a big piece of furniture. Maybe if I ever buy new furniture for my living room, I will replace it. But for now, maybe I'll just use it to store something else. I got rid of one large piece of furniture already, thanks to this decluttering. So, I guess what I'm down to is I'm never going to be a minimalist. I've used the word smallest a few times. But really, what I'm after is just the right size for me and my house, because I got to keep that in mind. 672 square feet to play with is not a lot. So a few other things I was just thinking about. These came up in a couple of the videos that I was running while I was decluttering. Some people, the older generation and probably their kids, would have been very influenced by the Great Depression, when you did not have money. And so saving every little thing made sense. Or somebody who grows up in poverty is going to save everything because you never know when you're going to need it, and you won't be able to afford to buy a new one, whatever it is. I remember this old guy. He was 90 something at the time. He's since passed away at the age of 102, but 90 something. So there was these 2 old outhouses that needed re-roofed. So he found some metal roofing that had blown off of an old abandoned one-room schoolhouse. And that's what we re-roofed with. It was so beaten up and full of holes that we could really only use half of it, so we only ever did re-roof one of the outhouses. And so I'm up on the top, taking off shingles and stuff off so we can put this new stuff on. And suddenly he's up there with me, and I'm just like, dude, you're 90-something years old. But that's how he rolled. And that was his thing, is he would save everything. And I would say the Great Depression, because he graduated from high school in 1938. Yeah, 38 or 37, it doesn't really matter. But the Great Depression had a big impact on him. He would tell stories about when him and his father would go elsewhere looking for work, and how they worked at one place and they didn't know the guy wasn't going to pay them until the end. They were hauling sugar beets, but he'd give them credit at the store, and then they could, after the store was paid, then they would get what was left over. And that'd be very hard for me to function like that, but at that time, we have a train that comes through town, and it's got a very weird horn. But anyway, that would make you somebody who's going to save stuff. And after he died, going through his stuff, he had a lot, bags and bags and cans of old nails and screws and all kinds of pieces of scrap wood, every piece of paper he got. He saved because of that. Growing up in the Depression was very formative. And growing up in poverty would be the same way. One of the things I was dealing with was craft clutter. So if you've ever dated a crafter, or you know a crafter, or maybe you are a crafter, we need stuff. Repairing fountain pens takes stuff. Collecting fountain pens, because I write with them, I need stuff. If you're a knitter, you need stuff. Woodworker, you need stuff. And stuff takes up room. And it's really easy to get buried in it and then one day say, I've got this much of Mogadishu yellow yarn. Oh, I wonder if I should save that for something. Probably not, but if you're a crafter, you probably have a nice memory of the blanket you made for somebody with that Mogadishu yellow yarn. I don't even know where that name came from. But anyway, crafting is one that is easy to build up clutter. And then you find all these neat little tools that you can, I wonder what I can do with this. Just the potential of it. I have these, I've got these little tablets. I bought 3 of them for, beats me why. It's called a tidbit. And I can rip the paper into tiny little squares. Why? Why did I buy that? Why did I buy 3 of them? It's one of those things crafters do. And you got to watch out for that. And then there's, of course, paper hoarding. Did I really need all the stuff from my first car that I got rid of how many years ago? Probably 20 years ago? No. And of course, there's a lot of scanning paper too. You can now scan stuff into your computer, and computer hoarding is a whole other ball of wax. Someday I need to go through my computer files and clean that out, but that's just a terrifying process, and the fact that I won't visibly see anything different when I'm done. Eep! Getting to inbox 0 was in my email was just achievement enough. But anyway, just to wrap this up, enjoy your stuff. Be grateful that you have the ability to have stuff. But be intentional about your stuff. Will you use it? If you have it, will you use it? If you're looking at it, will you use it? Maybe somebody else would be more likely to use it. And just don't defer these decisions to those who follow you. You make them. You make these decisions because you're the one that brought it into your life, and make it easier when they're gone. Used to know this lady. I actually reviewed a pen I got from her a couple years ago, but she had a lot of saved objects. I mean, her house was kind of, and she'd hold up these vases and things, and this came from Great Uncle Charlie, and when she passes away, does anybody know the story behind that? Why did Grandma keep this chipped, ugly vase? You don't know. So you throw it. And whereas if you know the story, it might mean something. And instead of thinking, oh, Grandma just has a lot of crap at her house, you might be thinking, oh, this Grandma kept this because this is part of her story. And you know what that story is. And then you can decide, yeah, that's a cheap, ugly vase, I'm throwing it away. Or you can decide, no, that's something I want. But, on the whole, don't leave those decisions to those that follow you. Yes, they are going to have to go through your stuff, but they don't want to deal with a bunch of crap. And maybe if you have something embarrassing, like, I don't know, here's Grandpa's Playgirl collection. Whoops, I learned something new about Grandpa. Yipe. You don't want to leave those surprises for those who follow you. Nothing that ever happened to me, by the way. That just popped into my head as I'm talking. I should stop talking. But I guess I will. But anyway, and then just make sure your stuff is visible. I'm looking at a pile of stuff right now. It's a pile of drawings that I made basically up through, I don't know, probably from maybe junior high up through college. And then I quit drawing for some reason. And it's a whole bunch of that. No great art in there. But I have moved it now from Pennsylvania to North Dakota. And then through 4 different towns in North Dakota. And why? The only time I look at it is when I painted the bedroom and when I declutter. And then I think, should I keep this? And I always do. And then I never look at it again until I go through the same process again. And that's a tough one for me. Because I have thrown some stuff away that I wish I would have kept. Stuff that I created. Then other times I realize it's just junk. I've got a whole bunch of notebooks of personal stuff and, really bad writing that I'm just getting rid of. I could have missed that. But some of the formative stuff, yeah. So, anyway, I guess if I'm leaving you with anything, make sure it's all visible. Make sure it's stuff you're using, and just be intentional about what you buy and what you keep. Are you going to use it? Or would somebody else benefit from it more? Or would your bank account be a little happier if you didn't buy it? And honestly, you will too, because you won't use it. So, anyway, those are my weird rambling thoughts for today. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. Hey, how are you using your summer or winter, depending on which hemisphere you're in? Let us know down in the comments. So for me, gardening, decluttering is where I'm starting. And we'll see what the rest of summer holds. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.